Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called Storm Breaking Sunset. It's a 7x14 and I painted it last weekish or so. It's one of my what I call skyscapes, right? Basically based on a pretty cool sky photo I've had for a while, and I sort of sometimes I install a horizon if there isn't one distinct. But the little hill shapes and things you see in the distance, those are all just created by me. Yeah, pretty much. Well, sometimes in the reference, but sometimes I just paint them in. By the way, you can have a nice look at the reference image in the members area. Also, there's a full color mixing session there. And this painting will be for sale in my store for a nice price. Maybe a good one to pick up. Many of you have been helping support this channel by buying paintings from my store, and really it's my favorite way to be supported. Thank you so much, and thanks for those of you getting the book and stuff too. You'll see an ad for that coming up, so we'll talk more about that then. Let's talk about this painting though. A bit of some struggles going on. Not so much early days here, but about the time I wanted to pull it in for a finish, I was feeling something was niggling, something was bothering me. As it turns out, it was really the proportion of blue in the sky. I did change quite a lot from the reference image in the process of painting, and then to really make the painting something I could be happy with, I had to load it up on the easel the next day and basically just make a bunch of stuff up. In one case, and for one moment, I actually closed my eyes and just did a random stroke because I was really at a loss. One of the things that cropped up, I'll point it out at that point in the video, is what I call the 1, 2, 3 syndrome. So hopefully it remind me to, yeah, Mike, don't forget. I'll try not to forget. It'll be close to the end of the video where we'll talk about that, back we're in the revision mode. It was a revision, but it was a next day kind of revision. And I don't know if that happens to you. Hopefully it is happening to you as you progress. I wanted to, oh, just real quick, for those of you who might be new to the channel, we're painting on hardboard. It's prepped with 2 coats of transparent gesso. That's why it looks like there ain't nothing there. We are working with oil paint, and the initial drawing stage was done with burnt umber, maybe a slight bit of black in there. I think it could have just been straight up burnt umber, because this was a case where the drawing was done in the morning. The color was done later that day, and I like these types of scenes because, first of all, clouds are my favorite thing to paint, hands down. I love how there's less rules with the clouds. You know, you have a lot more latitude, and you're basically just dealing with shapes and colors, values, color and light intensity, things like that. There's a lot of emotive properties that come about from the cloud portion of your sky. In this case, it's a skyscape. It's really the whole painting. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk. I had a couple shows when I came out here to New Zealand. First one, I was reluctant because I had a plan, you know, which was based on a book I read, which I never instituted. I won't get into that, but I was invited to exhibit, and then I was like, nah, it doesn't working with my plan. But then I thought, okay, and that show I sold a couple things. It was early days. It was like 2011 or so. I had a follow-on show at that same gallery around 2013-14, which some of you who know the channel may know that I refer to that as sort of a like a dark night of the soul in my painting career. This show is chock-a-block with paintings, and getting to my point, many of those paintings are long since destroyed. I should never have exhibited them. They had problems, many of them. Many of which I wasn't even that aware of until well after the show. And it's not to say there weren't good things in the show, and I did have some good sales in the show. And one of the things that really was good about that show is I had the whole 100 Days of Tonalism I decided to put up on one wall, just blue tack to the wall. I sold quite a few of those, and so it was good, but it was really the 100 Days of Tonalism in my study after the Masters that moved my work into a much higher echelon, a much higher area of mastery. And I don't know if you're whether you're a hobbyist or a professional or whatever. I think my channel attracts people that are pursuing mastery, and certainly those are the students here in town that I think gravitate towards me, and that this is, I'm not going to say I'm up there with the greatest masters ever, but I have achieved a certain amount of mastery with my work, and it's been through the dint of hard work and insight, and that's kind of the point I'm getting to. You're going to have these niggling promptings many times with your work. There's something wrong, and you might just blast through. A lot of times what we do in a case like that is we'll cling to the reference, and we'll just slavishly pull things from the reference onto our painting, the whole time exacerbating problems that are already inherent in the painting. In my experience, most of the things wrong with your painting happen quite early on. Okay, in this painting, it's looking okay, but in the amount of blue is just a bit too much. It feels a little too open. We want these clouds a little closer together. I wasn't sure what it was until actually I got my video footage home that evening and was kind of reviewing it, thinking, oh, this is done, I'll put this up. But something was bothering me to the point where I'll give you another one of my trade secrets. I actually flipped a coin. Do I go in and revise this, or just be happy with it the way it is? And you go, why would you do that? Well, there are always issues and potential problems when you load a piece that you think could be done back on the easel, and that's the number one problem, is that you go blasting right by the issues that needed to be fixed and into messing with things that were good and fresh, and overworking the entire painting. That's happened a zillion times. Not so much now, because the pain of losing those potentially good paintings is still with me. So I don't forget. I manage to stop myself most of the time now. But it's very rare that I actually do have to get in and revise things. For the most part, that's what the whole underpainting session is about. Because if you have these issues, as I did here, present really from the drawing stage forward, I wasn't catching it though. And even here, we're looking at, oh, it looks okay, it looks alright, and it does look okay. It does look alright. This is one of the reasons why I was tempted to just leave it alone. But I'm never really going to be happy unless I'm happy, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's kind of one of the main things I want to talk about. Hey, but you know what? Real quick, we're going to have just a real quick ad for the book coming up here, and I appreciate your patience there. A lot of you have been picking up the book. I had like 3 of them go out last week, and I appreciate that. You guys really do. And I think you'll appreciate it. I think there's a ton of great information in that book. Everything that I've learned up to, pretty much this point in time is in there. There might be a few odds and bits that are video only, so don't feel like you will never have to watch another video. Anyway, check it out. $60 US. A good chunk of, I know it's a bit expensive, but a good chunk of that is the included international shipping. I actually am not making very much on the book, but I am ecstatic for it to be getting out into all the different corners of this world. And books, let's face it, they have a permanence that things on the internet don't. It's just a fact of the matter. So that show in 2014, there was maybe half a dozen paintings there that I really hate and I shouldn't have exhibited. And was I really getting the promptings at that time? Not so much. There was one that was like, we have these trees out here on the beach, that grow on the beach, called Pahudikalas, and they grow in and amongst these rocks, and the rocks are there, of course, to stop the tide or whatever. They have like 8 trunks, incredibly twisty, turny, and then with all the rocks inside. I have one painting of this type of scene, and I just really over-detailed the rocks, I've way simplified the tree, but it has so many twists and turns and trunks that I couldn't possibly simplify it enough at that point in my painting experience. I learned a lot from it though, and I guess that's the other message I would always pass on to you. It's like, you're doing a painting that has problems or issues is rough. I personally am not one to give up, you know, but sometimes this is a fact. I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I really want to kind of get this across to you. If you have serious problems in your painting, sometimes they're almost inescapable. Really, a small moves, this or that, won't be the thing that fixes them. You know, I think we're into revision. I think we might be. Yep, we are. I'm talking there. So in the masters area, members area, also known, I call it masters area, because I think people there are going for mastery. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know how to fix that problem. I do know I didn't like that little twisty bit. I closed that off. That was minor though, but you can see that was stronger. That was compositionally distracting. The area where I'm painting right there was the 1, 2, 3 thing. I think putting those streaks of white across, there was something like that in the reference image, which I had ignored before. But you see basically closing up that area, which is a big, like almost blue lightning bolt pointing downwards, breaking it up. But I admit I feel a little bit lost, and I just am basically kind of smacking paint down, and some areas don't like it. You saw me sort of wiping away with the paper towel. Ultimately though, I did get it, and I have to tell you that it wasn't, I didn't load up the reference for this particular portion of the painting because that wouldn't have had the answers for me. I had that reference in front of me for the whole initial 2-hour session, so that's something I pass it on a lot in this channel, but I want to pass it on to you. You know, let's say it takes you X amount of time to do a painting. I'd say 2/3 of that time, the first 2/3, go and have that reference handy, and for the last third, put it away. This is a big tip. It's a really big tip, folks, and it will really improve your paintings. It's going to be frustrating for you because you'll think, oh, what is that? What was that? But the facts of the matter is that almost anything good in that reference photo you already pulled into your painting. So all that's left for you is to start pulling in extraneous detail. Now, trust me though, if you paint a lot, you'll get to a point where this will no longer be an issue. Okay, yeah, and I'm not going to harp on that. I will say, so I'm still struggling. We're watching this video here together. It wasn't until I really darkened that upper blue bit that I started feeling like, okay, all right, I've got this now. And we haven't done it yet. I did think that bit of gray I put up there was helping. And then when I started doing this, I was like, oh yeah, that's the ticket. You can see how that pulled everything in and really made it so much better. Funny, isn't it, you know? And consequently, this painting has maybe a little more of a freewheeling looseness to it in areas. You notice I didn't even work much on the mass of clouds that is on our left. Most of the changes I made were on the right, other than to bring in that all-important darker bit of blue at the top, which I think really saved it. So at this point it looked a little matte, so the next couple bits, maybe not this next bit, we're almost done. Yeah, that's coming up. Not where I'm actually painting, so I let it sit there and dry for a few days, and then I basically got a brush out and wiped some oil on it so I could get a good photo. That's what you're seeing right there. You'll see me just hold up a brush. That's for the members area videos. I always take a screenshot with the brush. So I hope you really would get something from seeing this in the members area, but hopefully you got something from watching the, I think they're both totally awesome, 15-minute version and long version. Anyway, until they come back with another video for your edification and enjoyment, hopefully for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble, and God bless you and your family.